Got some serious news to cover real quick, and then we'll get into our regularly scheduled programming of liberal lunatics melting down over us making America great again, which then also ties back in to serious news. So it's a mixed bag today. So stay tuned, subscribe to the channel if you're new here, and check back on a regular basis. And real quick, if you live in Wisconsin, extremely critical tomorrow to get out and vote on April 1st, this is no joke, for the state Supreme Court special election for Brad Schimmel. This is a national story. All eyes from the brand name media is on this election because this is going to be a test whether or not we can continue to push back wokeness and restore America on a local level. In many ways, local and state elections are even more important than national elections, and the fate of Wisconsin's Supreme Court lies in your hands tomorrow. Of course, Brad Schimmel is endorsed by President Trump. Elon Musk has been campaigning in Wisconsin, trying to get out the vote, even wearing a cheese head.
All right, I'm gonna sign the hat and I'm gonna throw it out.
And speaking of Elon, since he has been deemed enemy number 2, second after President Trump, as one of the biggest boogeymen in the country, over the weekend there were protests outside of Tesla dealerships again, organized by the George Soros types at hundreds of Tesla dealerships. And as you can imagine, the people who attended are, well, let's just say, subhuman. Here they are dancing, thinking that's going to somehow stop Elon outside of one of the locations. Things weren't so funny outside of a New York location, however, where some of the Marxists brought this gigantic banner encouraging their fellow foot soldiers to, quote, burn a Tesla to save democracy. And that is exactly what some of them are doing. Thankfully, police arrested a 36-year-old Nevada man after identifying him. He's the one who used some Molotov cocktails to set fire to at least five different Teslas at a dealership. Also not funny are the rash of videos that are captured on the security systems, which are installed on all Teslas, showing the liberal lunatics vandalizing vehicles that they see and harassing and threatening motorists driving down the road. Like this guy who saw a Tesla and just started yelling at it with his license plate clearly in view, and then he pulls out a gun and points it at the Tesla. Now, some people thought that he pulled out a cell phone, but actually it is a gun. It's a pistol. It's just still in the holster. And so with his license plate clearly in view, I'm sure by now this man has been arrested, if not any minute now. We'll be getting a knock on the door. There you can see he just committed felony assault. This is one of the most disturbing trends that we've seen in years. The liberal media, of course, engaging in what's called stochastic terrorism, just inciting random liberal lunatics to carry out their dirty work for them, like this whack job.
Take a look at this. This is video from the victim's Tesla camera. It shows a green car pulling up to a Tesla on busy Route 66, then swerving in front to box the Tesla in. The driver then walks over to the 61-year-old woman in the Tesla and reportedly starts hitting her while she's sitting behind the wheel. At one point, the woman says she bit the man's hand. Moments later, the passenger of the green car appears to walk over and pull the attacker away. They finally get back in their car and drive off. We spoke to the victim today, who said she was terrified and can't understand why anyone would do this.
Well, they did it because that's what the Democrat Party and the liberal mainstream media wants their foot soldiers to do. Although, like virtually every underhanded tactic the Marxist Democrat Party and their mouthpieces in the media engage in, this will end up backfiring because the majority of Tesla owners who bought the cars years ago, before Elon became political, are liberals. They're environmentalists. They wanted to save the carbon emissions. And so they certainly aren't going to enjoy the Democrat Party encouraging people to do things like this to their vehicles when they just spot them out in a parking lot somewhere or outside of people's homes.
By glances over at the car, and moments later they return and quickly start keying the passenger door with a phone in the other hand.
You can tell in the video too, like they're actively starting to record, and they're recording the whole thing. You can easily tell this is a targeted, like there's intent there, and they, you know, kind of a mockery of it, right, with all the recording.
Seconds later, the vandal runs off. The owners, who asked to remain anonymous, notice the damage about a half hour later and say since then they have felt unsettled and somewhat fearful.
Every day, more of these videos get posted online, and one of the most disturbing aspects of them is many of the perpetrators are actually middle-aged people. So these aren't just dumb kids or dumb young adults in their late teens or early 20s. Many of these perpetrators are 50 and even 60 years old. I could just play more and more of these videos for an hour, and these are only the ones that are getting posted online. The vast majority of the victims are probably not actually going to download the footage and then post it on social media. They don't want the attention. They're just going to have the police quietly take care of it. So this is just a small sample of what is actually happening. And of all things, this is what they're upset about. They're mad that DOGE, headed up by Elon, of course, is uncovering and putting an end to countless billions of dollars of waste, fraud, and abuse of our tax dollars being wasted.
The sheer amount of waste and fraud in the government, it is astonishing. It's mind-blowing. We routinely encounter wastes of $1 billion or more, casually. For example, like the simple survey that was literally 10-question survey that you could do with SurveyMonkey, cost you about $10,000. Was the government was being charged almost $1 billion for that.
For just the survey?
$1 billion for a simple online survey. Do you like the national park? And then there appeared to be no feedback loop for what would be done with that survey. So the survey would just go into nothing. It was like insane.
The zombies who walk among us, the former humans, are so unhinged that in many cases it is impossible to tell whether or not a video is one of them or somebody doing a satirical skit mocking them. I give this one a 50-50 chance that this is actually staged, but this woman may be this unhinged.
What's that?
We are not parking next to that thing.
To what?
I don't want to be anywhere near that thing. I don't want to get out near that thing. Oh my gosh, it's right there. That means they're in there. Whoever it is, they're going to be in.
Okay, maybe it's 60-40. 60% chance that it's staged. Grandma has a good sense of humor, trying to help her grandson with a viral video on TikTok. I don't know. Let me know what you think in the comments below. And speaking of trolling, President Trump set the media off again over the weekend by joking that he may run for a third term, and then added that he's not joking, when obviously, clearly he is. And so they are taking him serious, and they're very scared that he's never going to leave office now. This is the ABC, always broadcasting crap, national news.
President Trump is now floating the idea of running for a third term in some of his strongest comments yet. The president reportedly told Meet the Press anchor Kristen Welker that he wasn't joking when asked about the possibility, and he said that there were ways around the constitutional term limits on the presidency. President Trump is also threatening tariffs on Russia over Vladimir Putin's recent comments about President Zelensky. Here's ABC senior political correspondent Rachel Scott.
Yes, thank you. We obviously have stage 4 Trump derangement syndrome and can't tell when President Trump is making an obvious joke, and so we then turn it into full-blown paranoia and make it one of the top news stories of the evening.
And the annual White House Press Correspondents Association dinner is scheduled to occur in about 3 weeks, which has been going on for over 100 years, where a comedian hosts the event or is the special guest and roasts members of the media and the president. But President Trump doesn't show up to these events because why would you want to go and hang out with a bunch of clowns in the fake news industrial complex? And shortly after it was announced that the diversity hire comedian, some no-name, goes by the name Amber Ruffin, was going to be the comedian this year, then the association decided to cancel the comedian's appearance because things are too serious now in America to be joking around regarding politics. Also over the weekend, Gavin Newsom appeared on Bill Maher's show and admitted the obvious about the Democrat Party, that he is desperately trying to rebrand as he is preparing his 2028 presidential campaign.
These guys are crushing us.
We are, the Republicans.
The Democratic brand is toxic right now. We had a high water mark 2 weeks ago, and that was a CNN poll at 29% favorability. It's dropped in the NBC poll down to 27%. It's one thing to make noise, but you also have to make sense. And I think with this podcast and having the opportunity to dialogue with people I disagree with, it's an opportunity to try to find common ground and not take cheap shots. I'm not looking to put a spoke in the wheel of their, or at least a crowbar in the spokes of their wheel to trip them up, to your point. And I think it's important. Democrats, we tend to be a little more judgmental than we should be. This notion of cancel culture, you've been living it. You've been on the receiving end of it for years and years and years. That's real. And Democrats need to own up to that.
Oh, now he opposes cancel culture. First, he comes out and pretends to oppose men playing in women's sports who identify as women, transgender women. Now Gavin Newsom is going to lead the charge against cancel culture. It's going to be very interesting to see the civil war in the Democrat Party because it's splitting into two. Gavin Newsom, even though he is probably full of crap, he knows what policies are going to continue to cause them to lose. And so he is trying his best to bring the Democrat Party back to the center, back to some sense of normalcy. But the leftist lunatics, the squad, AOC, the gender benders are going to be absolutely furious. I'm Mark Dice. Thanks for watching. Subscribe to my channel if you're new here and check back on a regular basis for more independent and honest analysis from an OG YouTuber. So stay tuned and I will see you soon.